I don't know whether I've lured them into a den here, into the dragon's den, or into the lion's den, I should say, because I've got 4 health professionals, and I'm not sure they all know that I'm actually a medical negligence lawyer, and I sue doctors and health professionals for a living. So I got you here under false pretenses. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome everyone, and I'm going to be talking today to my 4 guests, and I have with me in the studio. To my left, I've got Fatima Ibrahim, who is a consultant in GU medicine at Leicester Royal Infirmary. I have Asma Bukhari, who is a GP. I have Zainab Ali to my right, and she's a hospital pharmacist. She's recently qualified. And I have Aisha Ali, who is a medical student. So we've got a range here of health professionals, and we have a range here of ages. And I'm hoping that I'm certain that these 4 ladies are going to inspire you. They're going to inspire your socks off. I read their CVs and I was absolutely blown away. What I was most surprised about when I first contacted Asma, she sent me a text message to say, I'm not a leading lady. I'm not one of your leading ladies. And when I read her CV, I was blown away. So every woman here in this room is a leading lady. So welcome. Now, I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about each of them. So Fatima, I'm going to need my glasses for this bit. So Dr. Fatima Ibrahim is a consultant physician in GU and HIV medicine. She has a specialist interest in women's health. She graduated with an MBCHB from Leicester University in 1993. She then became a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians. She has a number of diplomas in subjects including tropical medicine and hygiene and GU medicine, family planning, HIV medicine, a certificate in leadership for health and social care. She's a consultant physician in GU and HIV medicine from 2009. She's been an examiner and tutor at the University of Leicester Medical School. She's a clinical audit lead for UHL. She's a women's clinical business, works in the women's clinical business unit. She's an audit lead in clinical genetics, neonatology, gynecology, obstetrics, sexual health, HIV and family planning. The list goes on. I'd be here all day if I listed everything, Fatima. It's incredible. She's a member of a number of working parties. She's been involved in writing guidelines for occupational exposure to blood-borne viruses and managing HIV positive women in the UK. She's also a trustee at Leicester AIDS Support Services, which is a local charity which supports and provides services for people living with HIV. They are previous roles, but this is part of your experience. Okay. Asma Bukhari. Asma Bukhari, I think we've got a technical problem there. Asma Bukhari is a local GP in Thurmaston with experience in caring for patients from a range of different cultural and religious backgrounds. She's originally from Peshawar in Pakistan and graduated with a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery, MBBS, so a slightly different qualification to Fatima, degree from Khyber Medical College at the University of Peshawar, Pakistan. She graduated in 1988. She began her career wanting to be a surgeon, and then she decided to become a GP. And she's going to tell us about that and what the reason why she swapped. She became a member of the Royal College of GPs in 2008. She is committed to pursuing and helping people maintain their health and quality of life, and to continue to further and develop her own skills in clinical and practice management. She has a special interest in the management of diabetes, and I think we've got Zainab over here also has a special interest in diabetes, and something that perhaps the general public don't think about, which is the health of healthcare professionals and the stress that healthcare professionals go under, and the effects on their work and on their physical and mental well-being, but not just theirs, but also that of their families. If you're married to a doctor, believe me, it's challenging. She likes reading, keeping fit, she exercises, she walks, she loves yoga, she loves music, photography, painting. I don't know where she gets the time. Painting, pencil sketching, embroidery, and she's currently learning the violin. Wow, that blew me away. She's passionate about health promotion and education in the community. She's taken part in medical camps in remote areas of northwest Pakistan where medical services are not available. And her future vision is to join an umbrella charity organisation like Médecins Sans Frontières, as well as go back to the remote areas in her home country to help local people. That's absolutely phenomenal. Now, over here we have Zainab. and Aisha. Aisha is currently a 26-year-old medical student at the University of Leicester. She got married in December 2017. She initially started out wanting to do English with a language, and therefore she steered her, was that your A-level choices, in that direction. But she took a gap year, thought about things, and decided she would be a medic. She decided to apply for medicine, but she didn't get any offers. She therefore decided to go down a different route, start an undergraduate course in biosciences at Leicester University. And a year in, again, she found that there was an opportunity for a transfer onto medicine, but she applied, but didn't make the cut. And even though she was called for an interview, she didn't make it. In her final year, she applied again. So in her final year of biosciences, she applied again to do medicine, and she got accepted at Leicester, and she's currently a medical student at Leicester in her 4th year, is that right? And she'll graduate when? Next year, mashallah, that's amazing. So for a lady who's told me that she's never had any challenges, I think those are some challenges that you have overcome and done brilliantly. She's interested in a number of things. Her interests include Project Body, a scheme run in Leicester to improve the health and well-being of young children in the community. She volunteers in schools, she travels, she reads, and she hikes. And then, last but not least, we come to Zainab Ali, she's presently a rotational pharmacist at Kettering General Hospital. She studied at DMU, and she did a year as a pre-reg pharmacist at UHL. Is that correct? Yeah. She's also got community pharmacy experience at a number of local chemists, and we're going to give a shout out to a couple of those. One is Moyne's Chemist, and Moyne, if you're listening, we've just mentioned you, and Pearl Chemist, which I believe is up the road on Evington Road. Zainab has, she's got work, she did a lot of work experience actually, Zainab, that was something that you did, which I think has stood you in good stead. But she was a ward support volunteer and mealtime assistant at Leicester Royal Infirmary. She's worked on a project called the DMU Square Mile Diabetes Project, so I'd like to hear about that a little bit later on. She is also she's a Macmillan Cancer Community Champion and a volunteer. And as I mentioned, a diabetes champion. So her interests outside of work are, aside from spending time with friends and family, she enjoys traveling, hiking, taking part in charity events and walks. She trains twice a week at a karate club. Is that one that we know? Is that a local one? CKI. Ismail Bai, another mention to you. We've got one of your prodigies here, where she's been a member for 17 years. So you must have started that very, very young. And she's got to black and white belt, I believe. And she says that she finds karate a great way to keep fit and de-stress, and which helps her to perform and work to a very high standard. So I think that's a great, great stress release, doing karate. I did karate many, many years ago, but I don't think I would want to do it now. So what we're going to be talking about with our guests, these are inspiring ladies, and what I'd like to talk about is the work that they do, which is phenomenal, but I'd like to learn a little bit about them, for them to share with you their journeys, why they chose medicine and pharmacy, why they decided to be health professionals, and what inspired them to go down this route. I'm going to start. I'm going to work from left to right over here. So Fatima, you come from Nigeria.
I do, yes.
So tell us about medicine, and why did you choose? You were quite privileged in that you come from a family where you were encouraged to study, and you came and studied here, right?
That's right, yes, Mahmooda. Well, thank you very much for inviting me today. Yes, I am from Nigeria. I am one of 9. I have 7 sisters, mashallah.
Mashallah.
And feel very privileged enough to have had a good, sound sort of foundation in education. So my maternal grandparents were teachers, as was one of my maternal grandfathers. And then in Western style education. And on my father's side, I come from a family of imams. So, and I think also we were never made to feel different. We were a family of women, but empowered women. So we were never made to feel any different or made to think that we couldn't achieve anything.
So you were encouraged to follow your dreams?
We were. And I think we were loved and trusted. And I think that really is the sort of foundation of a lot of the success that I think comes from my family. So the rest of my family are all back in Nigeria. So my older sister, I'm number 4. So my older sister's an architect. She went to Leeds, but she now has a school in Nigeria.
Wow.
My second
Do you
sister...
think she'll come on our programme?
She might do. I
might have to join her down the line.
Sister number 2 is a politician. So she was at university in Reading, but she went back many years ago. She was Minister of State Foreign Affairs and is now an MP. Sister number 3 is a linguist. I'm the doctor. Number 5 is an interior architect. Number 6 is a lawyer. Number 7 has her own school, but she did international relations. Number 8 is a teacher in science, and our brother's a geologist. So we do have a brother.
Wow.
Yes.
I think you could run the world as your family.
My mother says we are tells my nieces and nephews and my children that you have psychedelic aunties. But I think, my strength and the foundation comes from the fact that as women, we were trusted by our parents. We were never told, go to school and you have to do well. We just got on with it.
They trusted that you would find a route that would lead you to follow your dreams,
Definitely.
essentially. And can I just ask this question? So I know you have all achieved enormously well,
yes,
or done an enormous amount as a family.
Yes.
Do you think that had one of you not been as successful as the others, that might have created some sort of tensions?
Not at all, because it didn't matter what
you
you wanted to do.
Right.
So, and my father died in 1992, but I think his legacy lives on in all of us. And he was highly emotionally intelligent and sort of almost knew what his children wanted to do. And it didn't matter if you said you wanted to be, it didn't matter what it was. It didn't have to be the traditional career path like accountant, lawyer, doctor. Whatever you wanted to do, he encouraged you in it. So I don't think it would have mattered. I think our characters, what we were as people and human beings, was very much celebrated. And I think that's been passed on in all of us. And that is very much how we see other people as well, So it wouldn't have mattered at all. I think diversity, individuality, we celebrate all of that. And I think it strengthens you. It just means that you can go out in the world and, with mutual respect and celebrating what you see in front of you, you can achieve so much.
Well, that's actually, I think celebrating diversity is something that is key. Mm-hmm. And I think this programme, I'd like to think, brings diversity and this programme into the community.
Yes.
Recognises that. So,
yes.
No, I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Mm.
And you... So you decided. Why did you decide on medicine then? You've got a very diverse set of family qualifications, shall I put it? But why medicine for you?
I don't know. I think I was doing very well at school at the time, alhamdulillah, and I think there was a real drive encouraging women into medicine. And it sounds like a cliche, but I love people. I've always loved people, still love people. Dislike sometimes what people are capable of doing to each other. So I think it wasn't something I wasn't 5 and thought, no, I want to be a doctor. It was sort of more after my O-levels at the time and then doing A-levels. And I thought, well, yes, I would like to be a doctor.
And did you choose A-levels? So we heard over here that Aisha initially, steered her choices
yes.
towards the arts. But so did you steer your choices towards medicine? Did you do, the sciences? Was that your natural calling?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, so I did maths, chemistry and biology A-level all those years ago. Yes, and then went straight into medical school in 1988, yes. Mm.
Okay, and I'm going to bring Asma in at this point. Asma, you are a GP. May I ask you just to... That's better. Yes, speak into the mic. Fabulous. Yeah. So you have to speak so closely into these mics. It's as our producer said over there, it's like kissing the mic, but it won't kiss you back. Right. So Asma, you study. So unlike Fatima, who came to the UK to study, you actually studied in Peshawar.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. So, and was your natural, did you come from a family where you were pushed to do medicine, or there was an expectation that you would do medicine, or how did it work for you? Did you have to push boundaries? Did you, what was it for you?
First of all, thank you so much,
My pleasure.
Mahmooda,
Thank
for
you.
inviting all of us, and especially that I have met Fatima after such a long time. Um, my story, and I think everyone's story over here, you will see one common point, and that is parents. You need driven parents to be actually going forward. And whatever is happening within your own family actually takes you forward. So my parents were very, very driven.
Do you come from a family of medics?
My mother's family had lots of medics, but my father's family was a bit different because my father was the first one among about 10 brothers and 6 sisters from 2 mothers, that he was the first one to go to university. He always wanted to go forward and to do whatever education could give him. So because of the politics within the family, my grandfather dying, and my grandmother was the second wife. So there was a lot of pressure on her. She couldn't afford to send all children to universities. So my father was forced to do something that he never wanted. And he was sent to do some diploma in engineering. And the moment he got a job, he said, I'm going to get married. So he got married to my mom, who was quite a driven lady herself. After my birth, I'm the first one out of 6, 3 sisters and 3 brothers. My mom asked my father, do you want to study? And he said, yes. So she asked my father to take admission in university. He did engineering, which he was already doing, although he always wanted to become a doctor, but somehow it wasn't in his fate.
You lived your father's dream.
I think I have, yes. And he studied, and I owe it to him and my mom that we are what
you are today.
Yes,
So they gave you the
absolutely.
foundation. So they were driven.
They were driven, yes.
And you were inspired by their drive.
If it was up to my father, all of us 6 would have been doctors. I'm sorry I'm saying this thing, but I always wanted to be a doctor right from young age. When I got admission in medical school, the first thing I told my parents was, do not push others.
Yes.
Let them do what they want to do. So one brother is a doctor. He's a consultant in Manchester. 2 of my brothers are civil engineers, but they are now IT consultants in America. One sister, she did IR, a gold medalist. I don't know where she got her drive from, but she has done so much that I'm in awe. And my third sister, she has done masters, she has done education, and right now she is head of the women wing in United Nations in Peshawar.
Wow. I'm absolutely blown away by the successes of both your siblings and yourselves and your families, and it's just incredible. So to our listeners out there, we are Ava FM 102.5 FM Ramadan special, brought to you by Ava FM on 102.5. Please engage with us. This is Radio Ramadan. We are listening to a room full of health professionals. So we've got some stunning medics in this room, and they're talking to us about their journey into medicine. We are on 0116 212 9324. Please text on 07450 925 084. If you've got any questions about getting into medicine, about getting into pharmacy, and about other health professionals, our ladies may be able to give you some insight into if you wanted to become a dentist. I'm not sure, I'm putting this out here, might be putting them under pressure here to answer questions they don't know. But they may have connections that may be able to assist you. So anybody listening out there thinking that they may want to do medicine, pharmacy, or go into the health profession, please do connect with us. I'd just like to say hello. We've got a couple of people who've joined us. Yahya Patel, thank you for joining us. And Vlogs Bants, we've got you joining us on Facebook Live as well. So do connect with us, send us your messages, and talk to our panel through these mediums. Now, I'm going to move across to our youngest medic in the room. So, Aisha, tell us a little bit about why you changed from, what was it? You suddenly, having thought you were going to do English and languages, that was quite a drastic change. And actually, it's interesting, going back to what Asma said, that, don't push anyone to do medicine, because if you don't have it in you to do medicine, it's so tough that my daughter, we talked to her about medicine because her dad's a doctor. And my daughter felt that she should be a doctor because her dad was a doctor, or should be a lawyer because her mum was a lawyer. And yet the best bit of advice her father gave to her was, if you don't feel it in your bones and in your heart that that's what you want to do, then it's not the career for you, because there are so many challenges along the way that you will give up along the way if it's not, if that drive isn't there and that hunger and passion. And so she didn't go down that route. So I think that was the best advice to give her. So I think that, anybody listening out there, I think that's an important piece of advice, I think, is what's coming across, Asma, from what you've said.
What I would like to add is, I do tell people medicine is great. I'm not putting off people.
No.
Medicine is great. We need doctors.
Of course.
In this country.
And there's a shortage, and we're going to talk about that later
shortage,
on, yes.
But the main thing is one should be ready for very, very hard work.
Life.
Yeah.
It's not just hard work, but a hard life.
But Allah gives you all that strength. Yes, we are doing it. We are living examples.
Mashallah. And you are. And you say you're in awe. I am completely in awe today. Really, I am. So coming back to Aisha, can you just tell us why you went from English to medicine? Because that's very drastic.
Firstly, thank you for inviting me to the show. And I'm amazed by the two other ladies who are here. Literally, it's amazing what you've done. It's so inspiring, seriously.
Thank you.
So taking it back quite a bit, when I was at school, I was always kind of good at a lot of things. So when I was applying for sort of my A-levels, sorry, my voice is going, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't ready for that at that time to kind of make a life decision. I was just doing what I was enjoying. So English was something I really, really enjoyed. I loved reading. It sounds so cliche, but I actually just loved reading. And I loved the idea of traveling as well. So doing a language, my choices was like kind of sorted around traveling and kind of doing English and reading and sort of having a good university experience.
And not necessarily thinking about a career and what the end game was.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So actually, again, it comes back to parents. My mum saw something in me, I don't know what it was, and she kind of always had it in her that she wanted me to become a doctor. She never actually told me that specifically, but it was kind of insinuated. And I took one summer and I spent some time and I really thought about what I wanted to do and what difference I wanted to make in the world. And I actually I was lucky enough to do some work experience in a hospital, and I just was amazed by what doctors do. People think it's about learning about sciences, but it's about people, like you said. It's about focusing and seeing what a person's going through and talking to them. And it's so special. It's such a unique sort of role in that way. And that's what inspired me to kind of change my whole plan and apply for medicine.
So it's the work experience that made that difference.
Yep.
So I suppose the message out there to listeners is that I don't think we're off air yet. We've got about 30 seconds, am I right, Akil, before we go into the ad break? We are 58 seconds, okay. So message out there to anybody who's listening is that if you're not sure about what you want to do, go and give it a try. Go and try the see what it's like, because that might change your world. So we are about to go into an ad break. Please tune in on Ramadan FM 102.5 Ava FM, Ramadan special brought to you by Ava FM. And connect with us on Facebook Live. We've got 4 ladies in the room. We have 3 doctors, 2 doctors, 1 doctor in the making, and a pharmacist. So please join us after the ad break with your questions for our medics. If you want to ask questions about how to become a doctor, how to become a pharmacist, or any other health professional, please do connect with us on Facebook Live or text us on 07450 925 084. medicine. The growth of can I just read out what I'm going to say? So how early Islamic science advanced medicine. So the growth of Islam in the 7th century sparked a golden age of scientific discovery, building on the wisdom of ancient civilization. Muslim doctors pushed the boundaries of medical science into bold new places.
Is that okay or shall I
No, it's fine. Thank you. Yeah. They were also, did you know Muslim doctors were also pharmacists who produced their own medicines? Are we on? We're on live. Why is the red light on? I'll have a quick look. Assalamu alaikum. No, 20 seconds left. Oh, assalamu alaikum. I got that wrong. They've changed the clock on the screen. So forgive me for that. They've completely changed the clock and that threw me. So assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome to Leading Ladies. I've got with me in the studio 4 medics. I have got Fatima Ibrahim. I have got Asma Bukhari, who is a GP. I've got Aisha Ali, who is a trainee medic, and I've got Zainab Ali, who is a pharmacist, and we're going to be talking to Zainab in a second. Thank you for joining us. This is Ramadan special, brought to you by Ava FM on 102.5 FM. Please engage with us on 07450925084 by text or call into the studio on 0116 212 9324. And I'm going to say salams to Shenaz, who has just texted in. Salams all. Wonderful to hear Muslim women power. Alhamdulillah. I'm a Montessori teacher now in mid-40s, but have love for babies and infants. Wanted advice as to which is the best route to become midwives assistant, i.e. ladies that come to check newborns at home to weigh them. I'm more practical rather than theoretical. So we will come back to that. I'm going to let our panel think about that question and we will go back with the answer to that. So if you've got any thoughts on that, then we'd like to hear from you. So into the next part of our program, I just thought it would be nice to have a little think about our prophetic times. And it was Bibi Aisha radiallahu anha who actually, who was the third and youngest wife, is that right, of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And she was very, very knowledgeable in medicine. And my understanding is that in the Prophet's time, the way that knowledge was medical knowledge was cascaded, was shared in masjids and in the mosques, and people were, I think our Prophet's wife talked to our fellow Muslims about medicine and how to have good health and how to look after themselves. And I've got here some research that we've done. Physicians from Islamic countries during the late Middle Ages enjoyed great respect. Their reputation was well deserved for the study and practice of medicine, which was then led by Muslim societies across their immense territory, and it extended from modern-day southern Spain to Iran. Muslim doctors were also pharmacists who produced their own medicines, apparently. The most important institution for imparting knowledge about medicine and other disciplines was the madrasa, a school built in or alongside a mosque. Many madrasas became highly specialized academies, often with close links to hospitals. Notable hospitals were in Cairo, Haran in modern-day Turkey, and Baghdad, where students would often visit patients to observe their treatment at the hands of qualified doctors in much the same way as medical interns and residents do today. So I just thought that was a bit of interesting history to share with you. Now, turning to Zainab over here. Zainab, you're a pharmacist and you've got a special interest in diabetes. So tell us a little bit about, you're a hospital pharmacist as well, aren't you? That you're not a community pharmacist. And if I could ask you to just come in closer, thank you. We don't want to lose your message. You're not a community pharmacist. Mm-hmm. Community pharmacist. So just explain to our listeners, what's the difference between a community pharmacist and a hospital pharmacist?
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people have experience going to community pharmacies and talking to the pharmacist there. But in a hospital pharmacy environment, it's a bit different. So I have to admit, when I started studying pharmacy, I didn't fully understand what they did myself until maybe second or third year, where I had the experience in hospitals. But it's a lot more to do with being more ward-based. So you'll work within the ward team on the wards with patients and other health professionals like doctors and nurses, etc. So when patients newly come into hospital, you'd look at what medication they take when they're at home, and then help decide what they should be taking whilst they're in hospital. Maybe look at whether sometimes side effects of medications could affect why they came in, for example. And then monitoring first of all, you need to make sure there's a supply of those medicines on the ward for that patient, but then also monitoring them whilst they're there, just to see that they're taking things as they should, if that's causing any problems. Maybe if we start new treatment, if there's any interactions with things like that, monitoring things like their kidney function and adjusting doses accordingly. Also things like electrolytes, we look at bloods, etc., just to make sure everything's okay. And then when patients go home, we also look at their medication, decide with the doctors and nurses what's best for them to go home on, and then counselling them on the changes that are made and help writing discharge letters and things like that.
So as a hospital pharmacist, so for example, when you're in the community and you go, your doctor prescribes you some medication, say paracetamol or whatever it is, for argument's sake. So it gives you, let's say you've gone in with a fever, and your GP's given you said, take painkillers or things to bring your temperature down. Mm-hmm. So when you're in the community, you monitor yourself, so you are the one that then you take the medication, and you might take it for 3 or 4 days and think this is not working, and then you go back to your GP, and the GP changes your medicine, and you come back. So what you do in the hospital is you are there, hands-on, involved in that monitoring process. Is that would that be fair to?
Yeah, but it's a lot to do with supply of medication as well. So making sure there's the correct supply for them, and also when they're going home, etc. as well. But yeah, essentially that is.
Okay, so why did you? So anybody out there thinking about, should I be? If you're thinking of pharmacy out there, and you think, oh, that sounds interesting. I hadn't realised that there were hospital pharmacists, pharmacists who worked in hospitals and had hands-on involvement there. What advice would you give them in choosing one or the other? Why did you choose to go into hospital pharmacy as opposed to being a community pharmacist?
I did have experience in community. I did enjoy interacting with the patients or people that come in.
So just let's explain to our listeners, the community pharmacy is so that Moyne's Chemist
Yeah.
or Pearls, where you did your experience,
Yeah.
those are community pharmacies. Is that right?
Yes, they are community pharmacies, so they're out in the community. And then I took it upon myself to get experience in a hospital, so I was a ward assistant, so basically just going around talking to patients, etc. And also I've had like my grandparents going in and out of hospital, and I have experience in that sense as well. So I saw how medicines were an important part of their lives, how it helped with their symptom relief, etc., but also with their interaction with health professionals on the wards. And I think the environment just appealed to me a bit more. And also, as a hospital pharmacist, you do get a bit more exposure and you rotate a lot more often. So there's exposure to different fields, and there's some more progression as well for the future. So there's different areas you can go into.
So what sort of areas would that be?
So as
Can you specialise in?
You can specialise, yeah.
Okay.
So you start off as a junior pharmacist. That's normally for about 2 or 3 years, and often you need to study a diploma so that you can progress as well. So after about 2 or 3 years, you can apply to be a specialist pharmacist in one field. So perhaps like into cardiology, respiratory, or maybe surgery even.
So you can be a specialist pharmacist in, for example, dealing with heart problems and
Yeah.
knowing, about statins and all that kind of stuff. Is
Yeah,
that right? Have I got that right?
No, that's
I'm not a
correct.
doctor, so I don't know about
correct,
these things.
That's correct, yeah. So you can specialise into a specific area. And also there are people that progress further, perhaps open up their own clinics. So there's like, for example, when I was at Leicester, Anna Murphy, respiratory specialist pharmacist. So she has clinics where she sees patients and help them with their inhaler technique, etc., and then also can prescribe things as well. And there's also the option so pharmacists can't actually prescribe medication, but there is a additional course for independent prescribing that they can do as well.
So is that something new?
Not that
Or
new.
something
It's been
that's
a while-
developing?
It's been around for a while,
Right.
but I think it's becoming more common for people to go down that route and specialise in areas where they can prescribe as well.
Okay, well that's really interesting, and we'll come back to diabetes, and you're interested in that in a minute, because I know that we've got our doctors on this side who are very interested in diabetes. But talking of choices, so you made a choice between community and hospital. I want to talk to Fatima and to Asma about their choices and why they chose the areas of medicine that they are currently practicing in, because medicine is a huge field, and actually, when I remember when I didn't know much about medicine. I know a little bit about medicine now, not very much, but people would often say, well, I went to the doctor, and the doctor, they perhaps go and see an orthopedic surgeon, and then they've got a problem with their eye, but they kind of think, well, I went to the doctor, and the doctor didn't kind of work out that I had problems with my eyes. And not everybody is necessarily aware that one doctor won't pick up something else that's going on in them, that doctors are specialists in that one area. So you could be an eye doctor, you could be a bone doctor, you could be a heart doctor. You will not necessarily pick up something else that is going on. And there are so many areas to choose from in medicine. So you have, both of you, Asma, you thought about surgery, and I'm going to talk to you about that and your choice going from surgery to GP in a minute. But Fatima, you studied tropical diseases, and now you're doing GU medicine. And I'm really interested to know, how did you decide on what area of medicine to practice? And why did you choose those areas? So there's two questions there, the how and the why, and please do come close to the mic.
That's fine. So if I first of all start off explaining by saying that, look, being a doctor, it's a commitment to lifelong learning. And I've been a doctor 25 years, but I still learn every day. So broadly, you study medicine for 5 years and you get a medical degree. If you're staying in hospital medicine, broadly, it's either surgery or medicine. So I am what's called a physician. So I am a physician, I don't operate. So within that field of medicine, of being a physician, you can then subspecialise in cardiology, which is to do with the heart, respiratory medicine, which is to do with lungs, gastroenterology, which is to do with the gut, etc. So that explains why when you have a certain problem and you're referred to hospital, every doctor will have their area of expertise. So my own background is in tropical medicine and infectious diseases. And as you mentioned earlier, I am from Nigeria. My intention actually was to go back home to teach, train, share skills. But we moved back to the UK in 2005. And by that time, I had done my training in infectious disease and tropical medicine. And I chose that because if you think about it, infectious diseases is one of the few specialties where we actually cure people. And I'm going to turn around and look at asthma here, okay? So I say, look, if you're a cardiologist, yes, we do wonderful things, but most things we control. So we control blood pressure, so everybody do keep taking your medication. I'm not telling you not to, okay? But a lot of diseases and disorders are controlled. So asthma's controlled, inflammatory bowel disease is controlled, neurological disorders are controlled. But with infection, and what I absolutely loved about it, someone comes in very, very unwell, and really based on what they tell you and the examination, you can come up with what we call a sort of preliminary diagnosis. And if you get it right, they can get better so quickly.
If you get it right and you give the right medication.
Exactly. So it is wonderful, so fulfilling to see people get better fast, we're not magicians. We're all in it for the same reasons. If you're a healthcare professional, really, it is the welfare of human beings that you're interested in. So some people practice acute medicine, for example. But for me,
explain to our listeners, what does acute medicine mean?
So acute medicine is emergency medicine. So for example, if somebody has crushing chest pain, suggestive of a heart attack, they go to A&E. So A&E is the same as emergency medicine, emergency department. And I've got something to say about terminology afterwards as well, if we've got time. So really, that would suit somebody who likes to be, who likes to be on their feet, who likes to be have 2 days that are not the same, somebody who runs on adrenaline.
Drama.
That's it.
Yeah.
So different specialties suit different personalities. Now, I really enjoy speaking to people. I believe in holistic care. And what do I mean by holistic care? I think increasingly now, especially in an affluent country like ours here in the United Kingdom, it's not just the physical. So things have changed. People aren't coming in with fever, malnutrition, all of those things. It's not just physical, but there's also psychological and social. So this is what I mean by holistic. That is why I am a physician. And essentially, my choice of career, which is genitourinary medicine, allows me to practice infectious diseases, but also allows me time with my patients. And I think this will apply increasingly to general practice, all specialties. And I really, really admire GPs for what they do, because they don't get an awful lot of time with their patients. I have time with my patients.
And you monitor their progress.
Yes.
And how the difference that you're making. And you also have the luxury of being a specialist.
That's
and
right.
Therefore, your focus, they've already come to you with a specific area that they need your help with.
Well, not always. We do something called a workup. So somebody might come in, for example, so my specialist area of interest is women's health. So if somebody comes in and they are complaining about hot flushes or sweats or various things, it is very important that we don't just go down the route of menopause, for example. So my area as a physician with broad experience would cover all sorts. So I'd be looking at, I don't know, are they vitamin D deficient? Is this TB? Is this other things? So there's a broad list of differentials that I will have in my mind. So to be able to help that person.
And you've got to then work out. So you start with, if you like, a whole selection that it could be.
That's right.
And then you've then got to eliminate them as you go,
that's
depending
right.
on what you find.
That's right. Depending on what they tell you, your examination and your investigations.
Right.
But I think in my experience, increasingly, I think psychological and social problems are impacting hugely on physical health. And I just feel very, very privileged to be working within a specialty. So genitourinary medicine deals with reproductive and sexual health and also HIV. So my area of interest is women's health within that field.
And Asma, if I bring you in at that point, you're very interested in women's health as well, but you're looking at it from a GP's perspective. So can you tell our listeners, and I'd like you to swing that mic over, thank you. Can you talk to our listeners about your choice in becoming a GP? You did think about being a surgeon. I'm going to remind you, we've only got 2 minutes before we go into our break. So we'll start, and you could start telling us, but we will come back to that after the break. So can you just tell us about why did you choose to become a GP?
I never wanted to come to England and live here.
Okay, can you talk into the mic and not me?
Yeah, I never wanted to come and live in England.
You wanted to stay in Peshawar?
I always wanted to be a surgeon, and surgeon for the women in that area, because women never used to go to men because of the cultural issues,
Yes.
religious issues. And when I was doing my periphery, I saw women coming to me with large abscesses in their buttocks, in their breasts, because they did not want to go to men and they were suffering. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to be there for them. So I came to England for my higher education exams, went back for training, and I thought I will come back only for 5 years,
Right.
to get more training and go back.
But we did not let you go back. Is that
No,
right?
I think I'm trying to remember Hazrat Ali's quote in Arabic. My husband will be very upset because he's always telling me.
Well, we'll find it in the break.
Yes,
We'll
yeah.
look for it in the break.
Yeah, that I found Allah by changing of my plans. This was what my plan was, and this is what happened, that I'm a GP now. I'm not a surgeon, but that is a long
But that's
discussion. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So, but you're here. You stayed here, and actually, Fatima, you could not go back. You did try and go back to Nigeria, I believe, but you were overqualified. Can I ask you to swing that mic over?
Yes, so I trained in tropical medicine and infectious diseases, really with the intention of going back to teach, train, share skills.
Yes.
I applied to one of the local universities, but unfortunately they felt threatened by my UK qualifications and didn't give me a job.
Well, that is, we're happy about that because it meant that you came back here and we got you back. So we're about to go into our ad break. So you're listening to Ramadan Special on Ava, brought to you by Ava FM 102.5 FM. Please connect with us on Facebook Live. I'm going to read out a message there. Salam, just before the break, salams. I just want to say how brilliant both Leading Ladies programs have been. The ladies who work in law are inspiring, and these ladies are also phenomenal in their achievements. And I'm sure they'll add even more to humanity over their lifetimes, inshallah. Can't wait for next in the Leading Ladies series. Thank you so much for that lovely message. And we will join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon. I think we're well into the afternoon now. And you're listening to Leading Ladies, brought to you by Mahmooda Duke. The Ramadan special, brought to you by Ava FM 102.5 FM. Please connect with us by text on 07450 925 084. Call the studio on 0116 212 9324. I've got with me in the studio 4 health professionals, and they are 4 incredibly inspiring ladies who've talked to us about careers as medics, as doctors. I've got Fatima Ibrahim, who is a consultant in GU medicine at the Leicester Royal Infirmary. I have Asma Bukhari, who's a GP. I have a budding doctor over here, Aisha Ali, who is in her 4th year of med school. And I have got Zainab Ali, who's a pharmacist, a hospital pharmacist, and she has only recently qualified. Now, for listeners out there who may be thinking that I have got here 4 very, very, very intelligent women and you may be sitting there thinking, actually, I'm too scared to do medicine. I am worried that I may not be able to do it. I'm worried that, yes, I'd love to do that. That's my parents would love me to do that. I would love to do that, but I'm a bit scared because, well, could I do that? Will I fail? Will I not fail? What will happen to me? Can I do this? So if you are doubting yourself out there and thinking, yeah, it's too tough, I'm not going to do it, I want to have my ladies here give you a few words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom, hopefully, to encourage you to go out there and follow those dreams. So but let's talk about the skills that you need to be a doctor. And if you've got those skills out there and haven't even thought about medicine as a career, go and think about it. But also what wisdom, what pearls of wisdom would you give to anybody who's afraid? So I'm going to start over here. So what skills do you think that are key skills to being a doctor, Aisha? And what words of wisdom would you give to our listeners out there?
So a key skill, I think, that's really important is simply taking an interest in a person. So when a person comes to you, they're seeking help. And what I realised, and I've not had much experience, but what I realised is people respond really well to people who take an interest, who listen to what they say, and who don't judge them, and who just listen. It's one of the most important things in being a doctor, I think. And you get so much from a person. You gain their trust, and they let you be privy to some of the most intimate details of their life. And they trust you with that.
That's a privilege, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And you mentioned, there's a lot of studying, there's a lot of training. But what drives you, and what drives me, is the fact that you make a difference to people. They come in, and sometimes it's barn door. Somebody will come in like with an infection,
it's their life is in your hands,
and you make such a difference for them, and it's so inspiring to do that. And
so
have
an interest in people. So that's a key skill.
That's a key skill. And my message of wisdom, which I would give, is that if you want to do it, go for it, because there's always going to be things. There's always going to be exams. There's going to be challenges. Life will always come in the way. But your drive, your interest in people, your interest in wanting to make a difference, will help you to overcome all of that. And to kind of become the person that you want to do, and to make the difference you want to make.
Aisha, let's look at what A levels did you do?
Okay, so the A levels that I did was English literature, German, biology, and chemistry. So I was in the kind of years where you had to drop one before you did your final year of A level.
What did you drop?
So I dropped chemistry.
Did you?
Yeah.
So having done, wow. So that's a really important pearl of wisdom to share, because this is a young lady who did not follow, didn't think she had to do 3 sciences and maths and all the rest of it. So go on, carry on. Tell us about how has that hindered you, do you think?
I don't think it's hindered me. I think at the time I was following what I enjoyed, and so it was good for me at the time. But coming into it again, it's been doing those doing the arts has given me a sort of flair for reading and writing. So I really enjoy I did a dissertation in medicine, and it was about a long-term patient.
So you're a unique doctor who also writes well. Is that right?
I don't know if I write well, but I enjoy writing.
Okay.
She has great handwriting. That helps.
Yeah. And I think it's given everything you do, you don't realise it, but like God has a plan for you that you don't even know how it happens, but everything falls into place. And so everything that happens to you is an asset for you and for your future.
Okay, well, thank you. So ultimately, I think the message there is don't worry. If you've done artsy things, you can still become a doctor. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful message. And also the powerful message is that don't worry if you don't cut it the first time. You can keep pushing that door and you can keep going.
Yeah.
Zainab, what advice would you give to our listeners if they were thinking of becoming a pharmacist?
So I would say important skills to have would definitely be, you need communication skills, especially if you're working in a hospital. You need to be able to communicate with different healthcare professionals, and also patients, of course. Also, other skills I think that are important are analytical skills and being able to pay attention to details that other people might miss, because that's a lot of your day-to-day work. And also being able to focus as well for long periods of time, especially if you're in community as well, because you're checking medication all day, and that is a big part of their role, and it's important to be able to focus on what you're doing, because a little mistake could mean a big difference if a patient gets the wrong medication, etc. So these are all key skills.
And you don't want them telephoning me.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Say, this pharmacist gave me the wrong medicine.
Yeah.
I'm just joking there. But absolutely, no. So focus is an important point.
It is,
Attention to detail is also an important skill.
It is.
Okay. And what, you knew you wanted to be a pharmacist from day one, is that right?
No, I don't think I've actually told this. So I wanted to be a dentist. So when I was a child, I had braces for like 3 years or something, always in and out of the dentist, and I don't know why I just really enjoyed it. I just thought, that would be really cool.
You liked going to the dentist?
I liked going to the dentist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because they did so much for my smile, and it just made a big difference to me.
Well, you have got a beautiful smile, I have to say, so they've obviously done a good job there. But
so
I think you must be the only person I know who likes going to a dentist, but carry on.
Yeah, so I wanted to be a dentist, but I didn't quite work hard enough when I was at college. So I didn't get one of the grades in maths. So then I had either the choice of, so I tried applying, but it wasn't good enough. So I had to either take a gap year or just decide on something else. So I didn't want to take a gap year, and then, because there's still a chance of not getting in at the end of it anyway, so I decided to look at other options, and I ended up going into pharmacy. So I spoke to people, like different people that were studying, a couple of pharmacy students, and they seemed to enjoy it, and they kind of knew me too, and they thought I would enjoy the topic areas, because I've always enjoyed learning about science. So my A-levels were the typical biology, chemistry, maths. I also did physics as an AS, which I dropped.
You did physics at an AS?
Yeah, because going into college, I just thought I do enjoy science. I don't know what I want to do with it, but I know that I'll enjoy science, so I took those subjects up and then decided from there. But yeah, so I went into pharmacy, and I did enjoy studying it. You learn a lot about the body, like it's a lot of pharmacology, but also about making medicines as well, which I also found interesting.
So you're not just about giving out tablets, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And there are so many different routes that you can go into. So there's also industry pharmacists, so people that actually make the medicines that people take. So that was also an interest of mine, but then I steered more into hospital pharmacy after I got more experience. So yeah, I would say though, experience is definitely important.
Work experience.
Just not even just in a hospital, like working. So I did a lot of volunteering as a student, and when I was younger, I think I was a lot more shy. I wasn't as loud as I am today. So it was really important to get volunteering experience in different areas.
So that brought you out of your shell?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I pushed myself to do things like presenting in front of big audiences, presenting to children even.
So this is a piece of cake being on the radio? Just a new experience?
Yeah, just a new experience. Yeah. So it is important to put yourself out there and try new things to get an idea of what you enjoy, because you'll always surprise yourself if you do that.
Okay. And so the message there is, if you think you want to be a dentist and it doesn't work out, don't worry, you could end up being a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, well, there's lots of options. I think that's what the message is there. Asma, so you tell us what you think. You tell our listeners what you think are key skills and qualities that a doctor needs. Now, you've been a GP. You started off with surgery. You've been a GP for many, many years. What skills do you think are fundamental to be a GP? And it's challenging being a GP because you, as Fatima put it earlier, you don't have time to spend with your patients. And why is it you don't have time to spend with your patients?
I will not repeat the skills that
No, tell us something we haven't
have said.
Yes, that we haven't heard.
I think for a doctor as a whole, the first thing that you need is empathy. Because if you don't have an empathetic attitude towards patients, you will never know what they are going through. So you have to put yourself in their shoes to understand what they are. And remember, no one will come to you unless they really need. They are in a desperate situation. So empathy, and the most important thing why people call you is listening. My doctor didn't listen to me, so I think it's very, very important that you listen. It's a puzzle. You're unfolding a puzzle.
Yes.
You are listening. You're looking at body language. You are looking at cues, verbal and non-verbal, and we only have 10 minutes to do it.
So how do you do that? I mean,
I don't
that's an incredible
know.
skill to have.
I usually say that when the consultants, with due respect, when they see patients, they already have a letter from us.
Yes.
So they have a fair idea why the patients are seeing them. But when for us, we have no idea when the door will open what is going to throw.
You have a blank page.
Totally. And sometimes you are assuming, okay, this patient came to see the GP for this, so hopefully it's this, or a contraceptive pill, or we sometimes hope that it's a short consultation to give us a breathing space. And believe me, you get cases that you have not even thought of. So never ever assume as a GP what the next patient is going to tell you.
And you've also got to, I mean, when your patients come, you've got their previous history,
Yes.
and sometimes your judgment can be clouded by the previous history, because sometimes you've got a previous history and yet something completely new has come
This is
up.
where assumptions come. You
Assumptions
shouldn't
come in.
assume. No,
Yeah.
you shouldn't assume. It's very challenging. 10 minutes is absolutely not enough. But previously, in writing days, when there were no computers, I have heard GPs had only 6 minutes to see patients.
And you have 10 now.
We have 10 now. So
Wow, you are lucky.
we are lucky. I think sometimes it depends upon.
My doctor didn't listen. And actually, or, when we look at medical records, we see that a patient has gone in with one thing and another thing and another thing. And the doctor has just assumed that it's something to do with the previous history, and yet they've come with something new and they've made the wrong assumption, and that actually has led them into difficulty.
I mean, I think it's quite rare. I would not say every GP does it. And it is challenge for the GP when patients come for 10 minutes and they have 3, 4, 5 problems,
Yes.
which I think is not fair on GPs. And if patients come and tell me, I think the first thing a doctor needs to do is to put some ground rules. When patients tell you that we have got a few problems, always tell them we have got 10 minutes. Tell me which one is most, or tell me all of them.
Because
We will talk
it's for
which
you
one
to
is-
decide, yes.
Not just me. They have to decide what they want to be seen
also,
first.
but also,
also reassure them that how about we make another appointment and let's discuss more, because that will give them reassurance. Because you, as Fatima said, we are not magicians, but patients don't like when we tell them we are not magicians.
So when you have, like we say that, let's say a patient comes to you with 5 different
Problems,
things wrong,
yes.
and the patient, the patient in their mind might think, well, this is the thing that's the most worrying, but when
Yes.
you listen, you
Yes.
think, oh my goodness, that's the thing that's
It
about
has
to
happened.
cause a brain hemorrhage in the next
Yes.
whatever it is, or they're about to have a stroke, or so you as the medic are the person who are going to make that decision in terms of what's the most serious. The
It's very
patient may not
difficult. You
know.
have to bring balance.
Yeah.
You have to bring balance, and you have to be safe.
It's the safety,
safety
safeguarding,
is very,
safeness,
very
safety
important,
netting.
and better communication with the patient. You explain it to them, and sometimes if it takes long, you just take it. I always go out and tell my other patients that I'm a bit delayed. Please
Right.
don't mind,
Yes.
because this patient needs more time.
Yes.
I think it's better communication, but
Yes.
sometimes we are so busy that we don't have even time to go out and tell our patients
Yes.
that why they are waiting.
So you are so conflicted in terms of your empathy that
Yes.
you
Yeah.
naturally, have an empathy, and yet you've got all these pressures. So it's the balancing of the two pressures.
Yeah, and Mahmooda, I will actually bring that to you. Would you be able to take on a case in 10 minutes?
Me,
Yes.
one of my cases.
Yes.
Well, do you know, the thing is, Asma, we listen. I taking on a case in 10 minutes is difficult because, and there's no way, because all I can do in 10 minutes, if you're asking me a question as a medical negligence lawyer, all I can do in 10 minutes is say, okay, there's something to investigate.
Yeah.
But you see, the difference between you and me is that what the decision I make is not a matter of life or death, whereas yours can be. Whereas I have got time, so I've got. I that's the difference. And,
It is a
and if I
challenge,
make I can't make a decision until I can only listen to what somebody says, and then I've got to investigate by looking at the medical records. With you've got to investigate by getting tests done at hospital,
In
et cetera,
10
et cetera.
minutes,
So-
we need to take history, we need to discuss past history, we need to examine, and then we need to come up with a plan what needs to be done.
Yes.
Very challenging.
Yes, very. So the skills there that you would say you need are
Well, empathy and listening.
empathy, listening, but actually an ability to assimilate very, very quickly what's important and what you've got. So it's not just about the empathy and listening, is it? It's those analytical skills.
It's called problem solving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Fatima, you wanted to...
Yes, I just wanted to say in terms of skills, having a non-judgmental approach. This is absolutely key in being a healthcare professional.
And our younger sister mentioned that over there.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, but do carry on.
Okay. And then also resilience,
Yes.
stamina, being a
Yes.
doctor, and having realistic expectations. So having doctor before your name looks very good, but actually it's very fulfilling. And I do want to end by saying it's a very, very fulfilling occupation. However, you've got to have realistic expectations. It's not something you do because your parents and relatives want you to do. You know, do your research, find out what it takes, like what's been said before, do some work experience. But for heaven's sake, you know, do realise that it's not something that...
You take on lightly.
No, and it is that commitment to continuous learning and professional development. Can I just say, Mahmooda, also that, I feel very privileged to be working in the National Health Service, and I would encourage anybody who wants to please research. There are so many ways in which you can contribute to one of the most wonderful, biggest humanitarian things that we have in the world, I think. I think having a foot in two cultures and work, coming from Nigeria, where people won't touch you till you've paid money, to where really I feel very privileged to be able to, there's no conflict of interest here. If somebody comes in to me, I am doing hopefully what's best for them.
Yes.
Without thinking about money, without thinking about pay. So for me, alhamdulillah, really as a Muslim, honestly, I feel extremely privileged because I am doing what I love without any conflict, without thinking, well, I need to make money, because there have been so many situations in my home country where people are prescribed drugs that they don't need, where people, if you can't afford it, you don't get treated.
So here-
So the NHS is fantastic.
In the sense that
Yes.
you do what's in the best interest of the patient
Exactly.
at whatever cost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do, however, appreciate that we do have to take responsibility for what we do.
Yes.
So negligence happens. This is real. And I am a doctor, but I've seen it happen. My own family have been affected by it. However, I think for the most part, it is a wonderful thing that needs good people to contribute to it. I think it's become a victim of its own success.
The NHS.
Yes. So, healthcare and medicine has changed massively from when I became a doctor 25 years ago. So when I was a junior doctor, I was everything on the ward. I took bloods, I did ECGs, I read ECGs. I was everything on the ward. Now you have phlebotomists, you have ECG technician, and then the internet, Mahmooda.
Yes.
Massive, massive, massive difference to the way we practice. So technology has meant, so even for me as an infectious diseases specialist, that jigsaw puzzle that we try to fix, there's so much of that, so much of medicine that doesn't even need a human being anymore. So there are blood tests now that will give you a diagnosis. So for my generation, we're going through massive change.
And did I read somewhere that they've now got dogs who can actually smell cancer?
Well, possibly.
Yeah,
possibly.
I read that somewhere.
So the internet, advances in technology have meant that medicine means something very different now. But there are certain values that have not changed that you will need to uphold if you want to become a doctor or any other healthcare professional. Compassion, yes. Maintaining respect and dignity at all times, having that non-judgmental approach, a commitment to the quality of care that you're delivering. So there are values that you need to look into, okay, and uphold, and then we will survive that change. But really, the NHS is wonderful. I think it needs to be managed differently.
I think I would agree with you
Yes.
there. And I always say, I mean, I know when I spoke to Asma the other day and we talked about the NHS and we talked about what I do and as a medical negligence lawyer, and it's interesting to be sitting here with a panel of health professionals. For those of you who don't know, I actually defended doctors for 10 years.
Yes, I read.
And so I did. And now I act for the victims of the NHS or health professionals. But as I said to Asma the other day, out of 10 inquiries that we get, we only take on one of those. So we take on very few. And that's because we are very, very mindful of the fact that people, that what people consider was a shortcoming in the care that they got may not necessarily be something that is necessarily negligent. But our expectations are getting higher and higher and higher. And that's, I think, as you say, it's a victim of its own success.
Yeah.
So I think one key message in what all of you are saying is that you say to have doctor in front of your name is a huge privilege, but with it comes an enormous responsibility, because all of you have got people's lives in your hands, and that is the biggest privilege, but the biggest responsibility that anybody could give you.
Yes.
So we've got about a minute and 40 seconds left. I'd like to go back to the question, the midwifery question. Is there anything we can say about that? Yes, Asma.
I think if this lady, Shehnaz, hello Shehnaz, Ramadan Mubarak to you. It's a good thing that you want to be a midwife's assistant, because believe me, we need them. Gone are the days when midwives, along with their assistants, used to come to your home, have a cup of tea with you, and look after the baby, look after you. But now, because of lack of funding and less midwives, it's not possible. I think the best way forward is to speak to a midwife.
Do this very quickly because we've got
Speak to a midwife, call your surgery, ask them that you want to speak to a midwife, or go to midwifery school at De Montfort, I think so, and ask them what do you need to become an assistant, and they will put you in contact, and I think they will help you.
Thank you for that. I'm going to take now this moment to say thank you to our panel, Dr. Fatima Ibrahim, Dr. Asma Bukhari, Zainab Ali, who is our pharmacist, and Aisha Ali, who is our medical student, budding doctor. I also want to thank our production team, and I would like to thank, I've got a new assistant, I have got a research assistant, so I'd like to thank Zainab Zaim Sattar, who's been absolutely phenomenal. Please join me next Friday for the next programme of Leading Ladies. My guests on Friday will be Professor Turi King, geneticist who detected Richard III, Barbara Armstrong, OBE, and Rupal Rajani, local BBC presenter.